and really just to share how um, Remco and his partner Hans Hultgren, how impressive they are. I've spent quite a bit of time with both of them. Uh, very fortunate to meet them both in person, and they're doing a great job in terms of building an approach to uh, data vault modeling. And they have it's not just data vault modeling. They use that ensemble logic, and you can apply it into different areas. So Remco and Hans have an academy, a training academy. So I know there are quite a few data modelers on board. I can see Johan and Petro. And anybody who's interested in data modeling, and especially the new data vault modeling, which everybody is desperate to understand and learn about. Remco does a fantastic job. I've always enjoyed listening to him and understanding what data vault modeling is all about. So Remco, thank you. And just to, I do want to say that when you published your book, I was very, how does one say, jealous is not the right word, but I felt the pain of not writing a book, and I can just see how it's changed a lot of your LinkedIn engagements and things like that since you got that book. So I'd really maybe just to spend a bit of time on what that book has meant to you and how it's impacted your career, how it's impacted your relationships and engagements. I think it's a great start to being recognized as a thought leader within industry. What's your feeling, Remco?
Well, at least it's my plan to be that more forthcoming thought leader on this process. To be honest, it's a painstaking travel writing a book. So if you plan to write a book or already working on it, it took me 3 to 4 years from the first
Wow.
idea to final doing it. I didn't do self-publishing because I know that would take me another year. So I'm very happy that Technic Publications is my publishing company. It's been a lot of work, but I do got a lot of engagement. It got me into some extra presentation, extra attention. Yes, a lot of attention on LinkedIn as well. And more importantly, fun discussions with people talking about what I love most, right? Talking about data modeling and how to basically engage business people and IT people together to go towards some kind of a data model. So that's my goal. So if you're thinking about writing a book, Howard, I encourage you, yes, do so. I'm also very happy. My book is a very thin one. It's less than 100 pages. And I also got a lot of remarks from people saying the size of the book and the way it's set up is easy enough. It's an easy read.
Right.
And I rather people nowadays tend to have rather smaller books, thinner books, and just a couple of them than one big book.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So yeah,
And
so
so just to share with everybody, so we will be presenting a copy or an instance of the book for Remco at the end in terms of engagement. But I don't think there are many people that are shy about engaging on this platform. But Remco, I know you enjoy the engagement, so thank you, sir.
I definitely enjoy engagement, Howard and group. Also, I see that I know that there are more people registered for the training, but less attending. So let's be very honest. If there are not so many people attending, the bigger the chance that you can raffle off your book anyway. Uh, but
Yeah.
but let's hope more people coming because again, I like the engagement for sure.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Cool. You want me to start?
Yes, please.
Then I'm going to start sharing my screen. Please help me to say that we are here. Share. This one should be out of the way.
Yeah, we got it. Book
Okay,
release.
perfect. Book release. And of course, this is my book. I'm very happy. This is a little bit. I was struggling a little bit about this presentation because normally I have a topic where I go into it, And because it's a book release, I want to talk a little bit more about what the book is about and how it's going, without giving away too much of what really is the content of the book. But I want to walk you through. This is my book. For those who doesn't know me yet, Remco Broekmans, work with Genesee Academy. I'm a trainer, coach, data modeler, living in the Netherlands, do rock climbing, walking, and of course, since now I'm also, actually since February 18, I can call myself an author because that's when my book was published. You see a little bit, and I want to walk you through. This is my basically the cover art, so the big picture on the cover, and I can tell you that the drawing is made by my wife, and
Oh,
she was doing some scribbling, and I found out that she was creating these kind of figures and these kind of figures, and think, hmm, they were just part of a whole colorful scheme. I said, "Ooh, I like this." So I asked her, "Could you draw me something?" And she knows I'm doing something with data modeling, but doing something with the green boxes and the blue and the yellow boxes. And by the way, of course, you cannot always need to go to draw the line with the green boxes in between. Come to that later on. And I want to have two different kind of figures around it. So there are kind of the more like a devilish kind of people and some more smiley people going around. And the thing why I asked it is that there are in any organization where you're working for, when you want to do something, when you're talking about data and information, there are two sides in the organization, right? There's a more business side, the people actually running the business, and there's the IT side, the people who needs to get the data going, capture the data, refine the data, and create reports and dashboards. So there are basically two sides of in the organization. You can always see that there are almost three sides over here. Uh, but the thing is, I want to show that there are multiple sides and all need to work together on. And this is, of course, representing the data model in the middle, right? Uh, Being a data vault modeling guy, you can see there are some blue parts, which are the hubs or the identifiers, the core business concepts we're going to look in for. The green boxes are the relationships, how these boxes are related to each other, and the yellow boxes are the content. So she really helped me out on this one, and I'm very, very happy that with what she did, because it really pictures what it is. So the art on the cover is for my wife. The actual cover itself, the design is, by the way, made by my eldest daughter. So
oh,
it really
wow.
is a family business, which, by the way, helps in writing a book, getting your relationship within your family strong enough. Otherwise, it might be a different thing. But this is basically what it is. Uh, and for me, everything I'm doing is all about communication. And a great friend of mine, I think he did a book presentation last year, and he's talking about Marco Wobbe. He is also very
Yes.
good in creating cartoons, and he made this one for me once. Uh, okay, what's it all about, right? There's a figure, Smurf-like figure, and asking Smurf, 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 and the other one says, Smurf, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Uh, this is another one. It's out of his book, all about facts or just fact. Uh, right? You need to be clear to understand what you do, what you're doing. You need to talk in a way that you all can understand. And it doesn't
Mm.
help if this picture over here, the person over here, is going to start to learn binary, or the other way around. If this binary person is going to learn this language, they need to understand each other. I think this is where it's going to. John Giles, I think he was here a couple of weeks
Yes.
ago. Yeah,
Yes.
he's talking in his book about data plans, and he's talking about some kind of Esperanto, right, as a language in between. And I like his idea. Only for me, I would tend to that IT people need to learn to talk business instead of both need to learn Esperanto. But I like his approach. I like his style. And we also discussed already that what we are doing is complementary with each other, right? My book and his book are really two sides of the same coin, and they really are working together. So what's in the book? The book has a couple of things. First thing in the book is all about mapping the business. Another thing is I'm talking about the business side and the IT side of the information. Uh, there's a part in it is talking about how to run a workshop, what we need to do in a workshop. The heart of the book is the Elm artifacts. We in the Elm approach, I'll show you later on, we have 6 artifacts and how to use them. Uh, Thanks to Howard, he got me on the path of you need to do something with ontology, and that's took me another couple of months to divert from the path I'm on, and I went back, and now there's an ontology, or at least what I call an ontology in. And thanks to Michael Müller from the German-speaking Data Vault User Group, uh, I also have a real life case where I said, okay, it's fun to write about it. It's fun to say this is what it's all about. But it will work the best if you have a real life or as real life as possible example in it. Just like what John Giles is talking about, his stories about all the fire trucks and the stuff he's doing and other stuff. I just took the Willy Bolt case, which is a small case they created, and I created it. I used that one with the template to say, from a business perspective, how would I start modeling? Okay. The subtitle of my book, Redefining Communication Between Business and Data Professionals. This really what it's all about, right? It's about mapping the business. It's not a book about data modeling. If you think, oh, I'm going to buy a data modeling book, it's not a true data modeling book. It's more about how to capture your stories, your communication, the conversation going on. And I was writing it, and I was also thinking, yeah, it's not a real data modeling book, but it's not also. It's more about stories, but it's also not a book about storytelling. There are other people writing books about storytelling. Mine isn't about storytelling. It's more like to bring you into approach, the ELM approach, to be able to assure that hey, there is a path in an organization we can take where we can just find what important information is there. How do we know that it's important, and how are everything related to each other? The approach for me, I would say, well, again, said right, it makes it happen to get a business story translated into an IT-driven model, a data model. And the important thing is, without getting lost in translation, we don't want to get lost in translation. I talk to people saying conceptual data modeling is cool because it's business talk. I think, yeah, for me, it's not really business talk because it is already an IT-driven approach how to model the business as close as we can get. A business person does not automatically understand a conceptual data model. Although IT people do think so, I'm very positive they don't. And the very simple reason why there are too many boxes with terms in it which they not always understand. There are lines with crow's feet and zeros on it, and there's too much in which doesn't align with the business. So we need to do something different. This is my famous example. I think I did this presentation where this is coming from a year, 2 years ago, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was where you had the operation.
I definitely, it's a real life example. I love real life examples. I had the operation, no fun. But if this is your business case, right, where Remco has appointment in the hospital with the doctor, got a diagnosis, and got a groin rupture, repeated. Basically, what we do always do in data modeling is get the important words out. I like to categorize those in person, event, place, person, thing, and thing. And then some people tend to say, you know what, if this is the case, I'm going to use these terms to say, okay, we have an event, we have a thing, we have a place, we have a person. This is how we relate to each other. And to be honest, this kind of stuff doesn't tell me. And it makes it even more sense if I'm going to tell you that the other one is being hospitalized in a bed, etc., in a hospital room by a nurse. Same kind of approach. You get the same kind of model. because it has to do with events, places, persons, and things.
Mm.
This doesn't help. So I don't know, based on the model, are you now talking about getting the diagnosis or talking about hospitalized? So we need to do more. And this is where, of course, from IT perspective, we people understand that one. What we're going to do is say, yeah, we need to have roles and types to it. And again, uh, I put this one on LinkedIn last year, January as well, all this stuff, and nobody said, yeah, we still don't know what this is all about. What business is this? What kind of domain is it? Because I do add types, I do add roles, even relationships, but we still don't know what it actually is. We need to look at the data to understand what it is. And I think this is where my, well, I won't say frustration, but it's close to frustration is all the time when I'm doing data modeling. I don't want to look at the data to understand the data model. Business people for sure don't want to look at the actual data itself to understand what it is. So as soon as you need to role play or type something, I would argue that you're definitely going too far in abstraction, too far in the technical part, because for business people, they can explain something about what they're doing without that we need to look into the actual data itself. And my approach, the same business case, is just writing down the business concept. What's important? And when the other is added, the other small piece of business case added, I can just add the extra information: hospitalized bed, hospital room, etc., nurse. So I got all this information. This is what I'm doing within and describing in my book as well. This is what I'm doing with business people. I love my categories, so I'm going to say what do we have. And with the categorization, you soon found out, because business people, what is Remco? Is Remco an event, a person, a place, a thing, or something else? And people can tell you, well, Remco is representing an instance of a patient. He's not a doctor, he's not a nurse, he's an instance of a patient. So we need to add patient. Same like a groin rupture. It's not an event, a person, place, a thing, or another concept. It's an instance of a diagnosis. So we need to add to diagnosis. Bad, discussion. Why is there a discussion on bad? Well, a bad could be a place or it could be a thing, depending on who you're talking to. Talking to maintenance and the janitors, they say it's a thing because we need to make the bed, we need to repair the bed, etc., etc. It's a physical thing. If you talk to the people from the hospitals, so the nurses and the doctors, they would say it's a place because a bed is basically a location in the hospital where you could even place a physical bed. There need to be gas to it, need electricity, monitors hooked up. That's what we call a bed. Their terminology. I'm not going to argue on that one. Uh, so basically, we needed to add patient because we didn't have patient before. Bed was created as a place, of course, and a physical bed was added to be said this is for maintenance. Very important that Remco and groin ruptures, those instances, are not gone. I grade them out. So everything I'm not using at a certain moment in time, I'm grading out. And a very simple reason: this is still work I do with business people. This is one of the things I do in the workshops with business people. This is what my book is all about. We need to get it in. In the end result, you get something like this. This is for me mapping the business. So we have the business, right? They tell us what it is, and they said there's a doctor having an appointment with a patient in a hospital. That relationship, I'm making it explicit, and all the terms, all the business concepts, business terms are there separately. If you know data vault, you will end up with the blue parts are the hubs and the green parts are the relationships. So having this one going, this makes sense. There's no role playing, there is no typing whatsoever. And yes, we can also say what happens when the patient is also, or the doctor is also going to be a patient? Apparently, they're the worst patient in the world, by the way. But what happens? Well, then we need to kind of relate these two, saying these are the same. But this is coming out of a discussion with business people by showing those people, this is what we told. And then they can say, what about when the doctor is also a patient? Well, we add the relationship. What about if the nurse is going to be assigned to a certain hospital or whatever? This is getting discussion going. And that's exactly what we need to have. We need to have more discussion on what really is going on, what we need to model instead about technical stuff. Howard, I see that you raised the hand. Is there a reason for it? You probably want to
Yes,
ask a question.
yes, there is. And there are two questions. And I thought I was going a bit far. Johan asked this question some time back in terms of that IT and business. So, and I like this interpretation that you're doing. The question is, do we consider business analysts as IT or business?
That's a very good question, and sometimes I got the question. Well, it's not the first time I got the question. Depending on your organization, uh, I would say they are the in-between people, which are the perfect people to help out in running those workshops and organizing it. For me, business people are the people in the organization actually working in the organization, making stuff happening, right? So very boldly said, these are the ones making sure that we are existing as an organization. IT people are the people there to support whatever the business is doing. A business analyst or an information analyst are more or less the people somewhere in between.
Mm.
Uh, I'd like to talk to people when I'm doing running workshops. If they say we have business analysts and the business analysts are really not IT driven people, so they're not part of the IT team, but they're part of the business team, then I would love to have them in my workshops, but not solely. I do also do want to have the people doing the hands-on running the business. Uh, if the business analyst, and I work for an organization where the business analyst was just an IT person, happen to know more about a certain business function, they are still allowed to be in, but those are not the one which I really want to have in because they're still IT people. They happen to know a little bit about how technically that business function was implemented in the organization within a certain system.
Mm. Mm.
Those are not the people I'm talking about. I really want to have the real business people running the day-to-day operations.
And maybe that's an interesting one because Bob Siner talks about a defining data steward. He categorizes the data stewards as someone who defines data. Now, is that, and again, it's where do these people sit? Do they sit in IT or do they sit in business? Where's the best place? And I suppose there's some questions there in terms of can we not get a business person to perform business analysis?
Well, and I work well. Being consultant and doing this work for a long time, worked in a lot of organizations. What you often see is that within in a business team, there are always a couple of people, or some people, which are a little bit more interested in the technology or reporting perspective than others. They are kind of helping out. So they are, from a IT perspective, from a BI perspective, reporting. Those are your key users you want to have within the business teams because they are going to sell what you're doing within the whole team, right? For me, a data steward, it's kind of the same kind of stuff. It's in an ideal world, it should be a person on the business side, knowing all about the business and having a good sense of how to sell this one to IT. It's a strange world, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Story from the past. When I started working in IT, I've worked in a bakery before and been a chemical analyst and environmental engineer, and then I walked into the world of IT as a consultant, and I was in a BI team of a BI consultancy organization. And for me, BI has always been you are in between the IT and the business.
Yeah.
That in between field. That's the ideal world where you're in. In reality, the BI team is an IT team with some specific duties to combine information to create dashboards. But that is not what originally the idea behind BI is. We have some people in between the two parts of the organization. And for
Mm.
me, business analyst, information analyst, and data steward should be in the same spot. They should be in that middle place.
Right. Okay.
More to business than IT, I would say, but they are in that middle place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That,
And but it's very hard for me to say this role is this person because every organization is different on that one.
sure. Sure. So the next question I wanted to ask you is, this is the first time I've seen you almost like Marco Woban does, where you enumerate or you list the fact that you had in those words.
Yep.
That seems to be that coming together of case talk or FCOIM and
I nicked this from him. Yes, absolutely.
okay.
No, that when I started doing data vault back in 2006, 2007, it was just all the relationships were just very simple. You start with an L underscore and then list all the technical names of all the hubs you're connecting to it.
Right.
So, for instance, this one would be called L underscore hospital underscore room.
Right.
Okay, cool. That goes wrong when there is a extra relationship between the two. There can be multiple
Uh,
ones. How are you going to
okay.
call that one? So instead, I start to say, you know what? Maybe you need to use a more functional name for every relationship.
Right.
And people try to find functional names. And now I'm more and more into what Marco is doing as well. Create a full sentence just to make sure what it is. And again, this is because I got this question as well in the training when I'm doing it. It's helping you as a modeler, it's helping the business to understand what we have in a relationship. How you technically going to implement it, it's a completely different story. That you're still going to use the
Sure.
L underscore hospital underscore room underscore
Sure.
one, and the other one is number two. I don't care. But when we're talking, when we're discussing it, when we're showing it, don't show the technical parts.
Right.
The same with it says here hospital. Technically, it probably would be H underscore hospital
Right.
instead of
Yeah.
hospital. Forget about that H underscore when you talk to business people because it
Yeah.
feels like yeah, not really. But this I definitely and Marco knows it by because well we have a lot of contacts anyway. That I said yeah I think it makes sense. I'm not
Mm,
going to create a full paragraph in it, but a sentence is good enough.
fantastic. Now I've got another question from William. And his question is, do you only get people, and I suppose that's to you, the people that you're having these engagements with, who understand what's currently taking place, or also those who see change over time, who may not currently be operating in the business process or in the area that you're modeling?
Well, and and that's also in the book. I tend to go in with a within a certain business function domain with a certain you know we have some kind of boundary when we start off. We're not going to say well, let's go and model the whole organization.
Right,
It's
right.
taking some part. Since I don't like to focus on any source system whatsoever. I'm only talking about what the business is all about. It is not so much of what's coming, but yes, if there is a change coming, organizations tend to change over time, right? We are going to reorganize our processes as well. We need to have people who understand what it is now and what is going to be the change because you need to capture both.
Right.
Those are the hard part, by the way, when there's a big organizational change going on, it might change your whole business process and your business function. That's always being hard to be in that place to start modeling. So
Mm,
you need to figure it out. But yes, you need to have people who understand how the business is being run and what's going on in that world. You don't and don't go too small, don't go too big. If we
Okay.
are going to a next business domain or a next business function, right? What happened? I start with a blank slate at first. Even I know that maybe 60 or 70 or 80% of the terms being used in the other business function as well. I start with a blank slate. So I start really with, again, noting all the business concepts. And then in a second workshop, I will combine the two, what I already know, what I have, with what I now got. And a very simple reason, they might come up with the same term with a different business definition, or they might uh, forget about that they are talking about other terms if you already see a whole list of terms. So it's kind of playing around with the options you're having. It's not it. I think this is we always say data modeling is art. This I would say this is also some kind of art. There's no
Mm.
just take one step and then the other step and the other step, and the all the steps you're taking are always in the same order, in the same stuff. We need to no. It's fun, I would
Mm.
say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there was Eben asked a question there in terms of, is your event in ELM similar to the concept of unit of work in a business process that Data Vault people like referring to for links?
Ah, the good unit of work definition. Yeah. Interesting enough, we until I would say 5, 6 years ago in our training we talked about the unit of work, and it was always the hardest part to discuss what the unit of work is. Event for us, like employment is an event and hospitalize is an event, are the things which are happening, the event transactions, happenings, that what's there. Unit of work was always some kind of little bit bigger than just the single event or transaction. It was always
Okay.
something, but it was always hard to understand. So we dropped the term unit of work. We are now talking about NBR analysis, natural business relationship analysis.
Mhm.
Basically, from out of this event, and we'll see one of the event canvases templates later on. From out of the event, these are all the business concepts which are involved. That's the analysis we're doing. It used to be
Okay.
kind of similar like unit of work, but unit of work is a terrible term.
Okay. Fantastic. And then the last question at this point in time was, and I've noticed you haven't really gone into understanding the definitions of these terms and the meanings. So exactly the
Yeah,
positioning
come
in.
to that one. Come
Okay,
to that.
okay, okay, okay.
It's all about the templates. That's where it's
Right,
all
right,
about.
right, right. Okay, let's
Hey,
go.
we are just on chapter one. Yeah. Okay. So it's all about communication, right? And again, this is another great one from Marco. I'm happy to have used them also in my book. And the thing is that this is what's happening, right? There's a disconnect between one side and the other side. In this case, probably this the business side and this the IT side. So we need to create that story. We need to go into from two different angles. So what do we need? We need to have that the business can tell in their own clear terms what the story, the business function is about. And at the same token, IT folks, the data modelers, need to use those terms to create a data model. Fun fact, don't ever try to invite business people to say, I'm going to do a data modeling workshop. You'll be sitting there all by yourself. And maybe some other data geeks, which are from the IT perspective, because a data model is a technical model. Even if you call it, we're doing a conceptual model or an information model, we like the term business mapping because that's what we try to do. We map the business towards a given model. Uh, we should work it together, right? It's for together. The hardest thing, keep it simple and clear. Make sure it's understandable and usable for everybody, but that's it. We need to capture what's important for the business, and that's what we do in the ELM approach. Okay, running workshops. Running workshops, there are a couple of things. The first thing, we do them because we need to have the essence. We need to know what it's all about. Questions are going to be, hey, tell me what's going on in your organization, department, your team. What's happening? What's your process? What's your day-to-day work? So we're not going in with, oh, this is the business process or this is the business function we need to investigate. Tell us all about it. I always like to say a little bit broader, and for me it's easy. I'm always new, so I'm always curious to say, cool, I need to do some work for your organization. Could you tell me what your organization is all about? What your partner, what your team is all about? Because then people are going to tell me what their work is actually is, and they are going to tell me these are the business terms I'm using. These are our core business concepts, and I'm just writing them down. Uh, I always try to be curious. I did a lot of stuff, and before I even started working as a lab technician, I had and work again. I worked as a baker. I had many jobs on different levels, not only consulting but definitely hands-on jobs. I created furniture. I laid carpets. I did all the ceilings and walls in offices. I did all the stuff. So I know a whole bunch of stuff what's going on, which is helping me still in all my workshops I'm doing. All the business concepts, all the business terms, we need to find out, and we see them later on, and to say we categorize them: event, transaction, person, people, place, things, objects, other important concept of terms. The whole process from a high level, again, we have 6 templates: CBC list, CBC canvas, CBC form. These are for your definitions, by the way. MBR matrix, event, MBR canvas, MBR forms, and that will go to model. Steve Homan is talking about
Yeah,
align, refine, and design.
fine. Yeah.
Instead of conceptual, logical, physical equals align, refine, design. I like those terms, and a very simple reason because they're not technical.
Hmm.
I can tell people I need to know more about your organization because I need to align my work, what I need to find out, with what you're actually doing. So I can go from there. You see around 3 to 4 workshops in total. A little bit about what core business concept is, and again, it's also in a book. Talked about this before, but I want to do a little bit more. Business concept: everything what's important for the organization should be clear, identifiable. We need to count it. It's not some kind of a metric. It's not abstracted or generalized. And very simple. It needs to be clear and need to be identified by the organization. Uh, Business focus, understandable. That's where we need to go for. So we model event, person, thing, place, other concepts. Uh, Everything of core business concept will be one ensemble. That's why the terms come from. It will, in data vault, be one hub. It will have a lot of context, which is descriptive information, all the changing context over time, classification, status changes, all the relevant times. So if you are working for an insurance company, start time and end time to insurance, all that kind of stuff, appearance time, assertion time, it's just context. And we have to have all relationships, the MBRs, which will in the end will become the links. Why do we do this one? Because identifiers and the relationship between the identifiers are non-changing. They are never ever going to change. The only thing what's going to change is how we look at them. So the context history. So we're making our life a lot simpler. So very simply said, we need to go from a business case in the end towards a logical data model. Uh, this is as far as I go, and I didn't do it over here, but sure, these need to be described. This is as far as I go discussing a model with business people, and I can understand and read this business model if we start here and do the whole process together. Also noticed product and sale. Instead of calling it one as a line item or a sale line or whatever, I always use a functional name because a sale line or a line item or an invoice item are, and some people are forgetting it, but they are IT terms. It's an IT term. We in the IT side identified that. We did that because we need to manage a many-to-many relationship between, in this case, a product and a sale. There's a many-to-many. So in third normal form, we have to have that associated entity in. We need to give it a name. Oh, let's call it a sale line, or we'll call it an invoice item, or an order line, whatever. And we learned business people to talk in the same terminology, but it is an IT term. For them, it's just a product on the sale or a service on the invoice or whatever. The first three artifacts. Again, this is my CBC list. That's this part. It's just the list and the categories. Then I have CBC canvas, which will help me. And in the book, everything is explained, of course, but it will help me to see, am I complete? Do I have synonyms? Yes or no? This is the interesting part. I always love this one because this is my CBC form. And here, Howard, the definition.
Right.
Data stewards will probably say, yeah, it's a little bit small, but for me, this is big enough. Tools like Ellie, some glossary tools can really use the information. This is a term. What's kind of a definition? Some main context, some identifiers. Where can I find it? Where it's related to? Do I have synonyms? And in the end, this is all IT. What IT need? What are all the attributes? This is good enough for me. Because some people say, well, we have a client. What's a client? The definition. Well, it's a natural person who's buying products, could be books or coffee in a store. Okay, cool. Then a client and a customer have the same definition, the same identifier. They are really synonyms. Or maybe they say prospect. What's a prospect? Well, it's a natural person who's interested in buying products in our store. We know who they are because they give our email information. Then we know that a prospect and a customer are two different things. Very fun. Basically, this whole top part is something business people do for me. I ask them, could you give me your definition? Could you give me what's the main information you need? Could you give me how you identify it? This is homework after workshop number 1. I don't need to do this one. So I always like it. And the fun thing is they really do it and they understand why they need to do it. Yeah. And it's all from their own perspective. And if there's a data student in place, the data student will help on this one. But don't do it from the IT perspective. It's not my definition, it's the business definition. Yes, Howard.
Okay, so we have a question from William. He asked, why is our store reversed in the image? Maybe it was one back. William, is it this?
Oh, over here. Yeah.
There, yeah.
Smart.
I'm just wondering if you're testing us or what, right?
Yeah, someone is trying to get access to the book already, I guess. No, this is actually now it's we also have sometimes reverse, but this is the glass window behind the counter. So there's a street on the outside. So
right.
From the outside of the shop, you need to read it's a store.
That is such a brilliant picture for perspective, right? Yeah. Well done.
Cool. Smart remark. After we did the first stop, and this is basically.
Sorry, Remco. I had another question on. I noticed that your loyalty card is the identification. So, and you spoke about customer versus prospect, but what about someone who buys a product but is not interested in loyalty cards?
Then it's not a customer. According to this definition.
But it's a person who's buying products.
Yeah, but the identifier, how do we know it's a customer? It needs to have a loyalty card. So, and again,
yeah, but they need to know. Yeah, sure.
No, you know what it is, again, Howard? That particular business process, that particular part of the company.
I do understand. It's just a case of now, what do you deal with the other parties? And I'm going abstract there because it may be a prospect, it may be a customer who doesn't want it, it may be someone who's expired. How do you deal with those other people?
Well, one I always ask in the business, right, in organization, doing workshops. Customer is, by the way, a very good example. what if it's a well, we have customers? How do we identify them? Well, we cannot because we don't have we have customers and they just come in the store and just pay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Then I can just say we have customers, but they cannot be identified. So they are not going to end up in my model in the end.
So that means you're not going to count the sales for those customers.
I can count individual sales, but I'm not sure if I have 500 sales, are there 500 separate customers or 350 separate customers, and some are recurring. I don't know. Basically, the organization doesn't know because they don't have a hold of it. I work for an organization. Yeah, then we are going to use their card number, the credit card number, or the bank card number.
Yeah, yeah.
As an identifier. Again, if
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what they're using, we need to. This is all we need to store, right? If we cannot store, we don't have an identifier for. Well, we're saying now customer, right? For a customer, if we don't have an identifier for it, we cannot store that data anyway. We cannot capture it.
So can I play that back to you, Remco?
Yeah, of course.
So basically the way I'm understanding this is that you've been asked to go into a particular department of the business.
Yep.
You're speaking to them. They know what a customer is from their perspective. They've grown up there. They belong in there. They know what a customer is. The fact that the business has not specified this is this kind of customer, that's that kind of customer, is actually the real problem. But you have to speak business terms. You've got to speak their language.
Yeah, but surely, William, those kind of customers should have come into this model.
No, because you're doing a model specific to that particular, that very specific department that you're going into. Because you're just trying to get the business to actually sync with you. I know when you go to an enterprise data model, you're going to have to specify because you're going to have multiple types of customers. But at this point, you're really focusing on that department. Am I right, Remco?
No, yeah, absolutely, and you're right, William. And the thing is, if that department says this is a customer for us, right, and they give me a definition out of a customer, and I asked them, how do you know that it's a customer? And they said, well, we are running in our department. We definitely know our customer because we have a first name and a last name and a phone number, whatever, because they're calling and they give me the first name and last name. Then the identifier will be first name, last name, phone number, which is a very bad one, by the way, anyway. But if this is the way they are identifying a customer, I would definitely use it one. If I go to another department or an enterprise and they say, for us, a customer is, and they give more or less the same definition, or a little bit different, this is how we identify it, then I would say, let's have the enterprise and the department coming together and have that discussion going. Because apparently they are using the same term, maybe even the same definitions, but they're using different kind of identifiers. Can we come up with something similar, yes or no, or can we consensus on this one? And maybe we end up with we are having local customers and enterprise customers. We have two different kind of customers.
Because you've got client in your core business customer as well.
Yeah, but this one is now in the example I'm using now. It's an example, right? Sorry.
But if I look at your list of CBCs, client is a CBC.
Yeah, absolutely. Client is identified as a CBC, and that's on my canvas has been said. When we're looking at it, someone says, "Yeah, but for me, a client and a customer is the same, and a account is also the same. For me, they are the same." Then I can come up. What's the definition of a client? What's the definition of a account of a customer?
Okay.
And if this is what they are giving to me over here, I'm going to erase for a moment.
I've actually had both of those with two different definitions. Customer was somebody who walked in like Pick and Pay. Client was somebody with a long-term relationship.
Perfect.
And I had to put them both in.
Well, if you have them both, then it would not be a client over here. I would have two of these, and they exist as both as their own core business concept.
Right. I understand.
This one is now, and the thing what we're doing right now, right? This discussion, I get it more often into in a workshop as well. This is actually a discussion we need to have. Is a client and a customer the same? And William, you're saying, well, I somewhere and we're using two different definitions. Then they're not the same. They exist on their own. If someone says they have the same definition and we identify them the same, cool. Then they're synonyms of each other, and it's only one core concept. It will be over there. It will stay there forever. It will be identified as a person because I can only find synonyms in the same swim lane or the same bucket, right? Because I put a marble in for customer in the bucket and for employee for client, and I can only look into that bucket. What is the same, yes or no? Or is our hierarchy, for instance, over here, right? It's kind of a given, hey, product, book, and coffee. You probably see them over here, right? Coffee, book, product. It's a kind of a hierarchy. Cool. Then it's kind of a hierarchy. I don't care.
Okay.
This is there to make it visible, and the fact that we are now having the discussion makes me a good example of we are making it visible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where our replacement, let's say, of the unit of work analysis. One of the artifacts is the event canvas. We just say, let's take one event, sales event, it's the easy one, and get all the business concepts, core business concepts, which we have, which are part of that directly related with that event. So in this case, a sale, employee, store, product, customer need to be in there. So looking at our stuff, first thing we need to do is say, what do we have? Forget about this one for a moment. What do we have? Well, sale, employee, store, product, customer. Boom, we need to all relate them to each other. Unit of work analysis, right? We say we're doing next, right? Because this is MBR analysis. What's all needed? Then we're going to say, let's look into the grain cardinality to make sure that our relationships are not having a lot of sparsity and or a lot of redundancy. How do we know? And again, this is what I still do with busy people. Say, we have an artifact for that one. Let's give some kind of information. Let's do some example records. And then you see, hey, a sale 501, Remco's the customer in the store in Utrecht, Hans is the employee. Oh, Moby Dick, newspaper, coffee, and Hitchhiker's Guide. For every single product, I'm repeating that Remco is the customer, Hans is the employee, and the store is Utrecht within sale. I get a lot of redundancy. So what I need to do, I need to get basically this out of the equation. I leave it in because I want to make everything visible. I have now basically two relationships. One saying my sale, Remco, Utrecht, Hans, and the other one says, ooh, on this sale, it happens to be Moby Dick, newspaper, coffee, Hitchhiker's Guide, and I have some product on sale or item information. Basically saying, I have my header information, sale 501, Remco, Hans, Utrecht, and I have my 4 different products on the sale. And now I need to see, do I want to know something about every product on the sale? Because again, this is many to many, right? One product or many sales, one sale can have many products. We need to know something about each single product within a particular sale. I need to describe it. Have the associated entity. Basically what we're doing is saying we have a relationship describing hub. Last artifact, and again, this is really the heart of my book, right? All the artifacts describing it. It's artifact number 5, not number 6. This is the combined information out of everything we did before to say, I have a sale. These are all the stuff which are involved. And we will see later on, there will be multiple lines on this one as well. This is also something good as a handover to the people creating data marts. It looks very much like the BI matrix or the bus matrix.
Yeah, the bus or grain, bus matrix.
On purpose. It's helping us and it's helping them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, these are the artifacts. Again, this is the heart of my book. Of course, to make something really, really fun, and thank you, Howard, for this one. This is a very high over one without a whole bunch of extra information. this is kind of my ontology. Starting over here, all the business terms within Elm, the LM approach, which is going for data vault, anchor modeling, and focal point. These business terms can be translated to core business concepts, which can become an ensemble, and the core business concept, we can categorize them into event, person, place, thing, something else. All the other concepts can be really core business concept, or just context or information, relationships or grouping information, etc., etc. More in detail, although I think this is already great, right? So from business term, core business concept, ensemble, every single business term will be a core business concept ensemble. Core business concept, we are saying we can categorize them. Why are we doing it? Because all the categorization will help us in identifying what it is. Same token, out of the ensemble, we say who identifies business relationships, context. Identifiers need to have business keys. Natural business relationships should be based upon business statement. The business should tell us how things are together. And context, metrics, date, time, descriptive information. In my book, because the ontology, well, the book is not very, very big. This is a nice big screen. You can see everything. At least I can see everything. There's a QR code on it. Goes to a shared drive where all the pictures are in color available. The whole ontology is there, so you can zoom in, zoom out, including all the extra information, and all the examples and records are there as well. Almost last.
So sorry, Remco. In your ontology and in your previous canvas, you used the term attribute. Now I can see some of it coming like identifier and context, but you don't list the attribute. You don't bring it into the ontology.
The attributes basically are, for me, the same as the context, right? All the context we're having.
But isn't because you had an attribute as an identifier as well?
Going back, because not sure if I understand where you are.
Okay, so loyalty card number was an attribute and its type was, so go further back onto your canvas.
Yeah, I know where you are. Let me do it a little bit quicker because I can do it over here. Oh, there we are, right?
There we go. So there's attribute name, loyalty, identification. So I was looking for that breakdown or that categorization in your ontology.
Yeah, that might be an addition to come over to have, because for me, this is right. I'm just going to say any business concept, right? Every needs to have a identifier.
Okay.
This is just the attribution. I combined it. I made it as just context, but in ontology, I might need to.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, I notice you call it a business term, and I suppose an attribute like a date of birth or a loyalty card is also a business term. But that in this situation, you're specifically talking about almost that first class noun.
But if you go for a business term saying date of birth, right?
Okay.
Say, is it a core business concept? Then I can say, okay, then categorize it. Well, it's not a concept, right?
Okay.
Because then person, place, thing. Then you come down to, oh, it's just context, or it will be an attribute.
All right.
So that's kind of covered on that one.
Okay. Thank you.
But where you see context over here, you could also say maybe attributes. Well, but I'll work on that one.
Okay. Good. Fantastic. And we have a question from Johan. Johan, your hands up.
Yep. Yes, Howard. Remco, I'm just, because obviously, well, actually, I'm actually more familiar with Beam. Okay, which is very, very similar to Helm. Now, and in Beam, you don't really back business terms are not not that it's not important, but it's not actually part of the whole structure. But in Elm, the business term is. I'm a little bit, actually, how does the core business concept and the business term really relate in a way? And I don't know how to explain it, but actually, do you have to have all the business terms before you can actually do the core business concepts?
Basically, every single business term will be translated to be a because business terms for me are the things where the business said these are important terms for us. This one
Yeah.
we use. There will become a core business concept, at least at first, right? Some will be already when you're going for on the CBC list, and going back again.
Yeah, no, I saw you had an instance. So, for example,
Taking this one. Yeah, taking this one. Whenever I'm going to discuss, right, because I'm going to use all the business terms, I'm writing them down as, let's say, potential core business concept. Whenever I'm going to say I have a term, whatever, is it an event, a person, place, a thing, or something else? If it's a true business concept, which can be categorized in one of those, it will definitely be a core business concept and to be a hub. If on this stage already, like we had Remco, right? Someone said business term Remco, whatever. What's Remco? Well, actually, we found out during the thing, it's an instance of a patient. So we thought it was a business term, but in the end, it's just representing another something different. Or if someone said date of birth, what date of birth? Well, it's not an event, a person, place, thing, could be something else. But what's the date of birth really? Well, it's descriptive information about our employees and our customers. So
Okay, all
while,
right.
while you
Sorry.
discuss one, you can already kind of find out that it's not a true going to be true core business concept. It will be something else. It still will be listed over here, by the way, on this in this first CBC list. It will still be listed, but you can make a note. Is descriptive information for whatever.
Okay, thanks very much. I think I understand it. So you would start off with all these terms, and it will actually, they should. So you should actually filter out a
and
few of
Johan,
them when you understand everything. Thanks.
Johan, I think what
Absolutely.
was important was that upfront discussion. Remember when he spoke about when we spoke about FCOIM or case talk or the facts, where he enumerated those terms, he's actually, as he's talking to the business, he's noting the terms down, and that becomes the potential list of CBCs, right, that go into the CBCs.
Yeah, and the categorization here, right? This is where you can already kind of make this stuff. Interesting, by the way, that you were mentioning Beam. I know Beam as well. Know Lawrence and did some good stuff on it. I was first looking at, okay, why did you come up with an own methodology if we have something like Beam, like model storming, kind of the same idea. But for
Sure.
me, for going forward for data vault modeling or any of the other Elm approaches, Beam wasn't good enough in identifying relationships in the way, because Beam is really focused on getting
Yeah,
dimensional models.
dimensional models. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really a different angle, which I
Right.
couldn't work with. So
Okay.
we kind of started off on the same place. I want to adjust it, but it didn't work out. So we came up with a different kind of model.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Johan.
Okay. Last thing, the example records, and then we can go for the fun raffle off and the final notes, because it's, as usual, taking too much time. Sorry for that one. This is something where I got help from my youngest daughter, because this is my handwriting like this. This is the handwriting of my youngest daughter. She has a beautiful handwriting. So what I did, and I just put in some couple of example stuff on this one. This is basically when I start listing down all the terms, business terms, they're telling me what's important. So this coming out of the Willybot case, it's a they are working for plants and seeds and whatever, and their delivery will help fun stuff. They told me we having seeds and plants. We sold them out of a catalog, now on a web shop, and plant supplies. all the kind of fun stuff. So I'm first writing it down, and to help the business going, to say while we're going and while we're discussing it, I can make some kind of drawings like this, right? So there's a person behind a web shop, filling in an order system, asking for a delivery date. There will be lists of orders. Goes to the warehouse, boxing up, and we have delivery service and delivery date. Also, they told me, yeah, this whole stuff, how are we going to do order picking, who does the order picking, all the kind of fun stuff, it was out of scope. They said, we don't know anything about it. They told me about it. We said, yeah, don't go in there. There's too much going on. We're changing, whatever. So we got it out of the equation. It's there. It's being discussed. This is what it is. So we got some fun stuff. After that one, we did the categorization, put all the crosses. And this is where, and this is a little bit bigger on the canvas, right? We put the CBC canvas, say, I think we have places order and ordering somewhere over there, right? They're kind of put on top of each other and said ordering is the big one. They are synonyms, like sale and sold, all that kind of stuff, web shop, website. They're in the same category, and we just put them over there. Of course, out of this one, we need to do something with our events, what's happening, MBR analysis, unit of work. For the ordering event, we need to have a customer, a web shop, and products. That's it. And delivery is a secondary event, which after ordering, we need to deliver. That's basically what this one is saying. Again, the beautiful handwriting, including the slightly tilted lines, are from my youngest daughter. And then I said, okay, and I tend to do it more and more, even on paper, on the actual whiteboard, to say, oh, what is ordering process we see over here? Because these are there, I reorganized the post-it and said, they all should become together. Ordering, customer, web shop products. And then I need to fill in some example records and to find out, oh, there can be more than one product on one order. So we need to get order out of the equation. We'll have its own relationship, blah, 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 whatever. And the end result would be something like this. This is the whole Willybald case. Interestingly enough, they asked a whole bunch of automation teams to say, this is the given case, these are the source system, these are the questions to be answered. Go have fun and model. None of them, and I think they now have 8 or 9 different tool vendors, none of them started off with what is the business actually saying. They immediately went to what's available and kind of work from there. So it is not completely there. So I think that is fun. But this is almost the last page in my book as well, and the last slide, because this is what my book is. Now the interesting part, apart from having questions.
Yeah. Any more questions?
Any more questions?
I'm sure Johan or William.
Yeah, no, I'm coming in. Remco, one of the things
I just
that
had to think.
Sorry. Let me just get some order or sequence. Johan and then William.
Cool.
Actually, William can go first.
Okay.
Let me just get my thoughts actually ready.
Okay.
I've got 2 things. One is just a comment. Remco, what I like about your book is that it gives an auditable process. You can hand over this pack of how did we get you there? And if somebody then says, oh, but you can go back and say, well, look, this workshop, that's what we said. This is how we move from this step to this step. I really like that about this.
Thank you.
The other question I've got is more from a perspective of writing books. And that is, I've also asked people to do things just pro bono on my books. And I always wind up having to, slip something under the table to those people who in the family who had to, contribute. So was your daughter doing it for love or money?
My eldest one, who did the whole art cover, so what you see over here, I took her out for a very, very fancy 2 Michelin star restaurant, 6-course dinner with a lot of truffle in it. My youngest one, I still need to figure out what I can really do for her. And my beautiful and lovely wife, I try to do a lot of stuff every day. So
Yeah, you're kind of married to her. So.
but
Cool.
I got your feeling. Oh, by the way, and as an extra bonus, we all went to I would say there was a dining experience with all based upon the movies of Mamma Mia last weekend. We all went.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice.
I try to do my best to keep them happy.
Yes, yes. Because they lose a lot of you over the time that you're busy with this, right?
Yes, and I told them I'm not going to write another book, but small secret, I'm already working on 2 other ones.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Eben, sorry, Eben, and then we'll come back to Johan. Eben?
Yes, hi Remco. I think the book is great because this information was available but spread all over in different places, and the ontology I think is new. So it's very great that we have it all in one place. I'd like to hear your comments on if we have different concepts with different definitions but the same business key or the same identifier, and the other way around. That we have the same identity, or we have the same identity. Yeah,
That's different ideas, same business concept.
Yeah, different ideas for the same business concept.
For me, the idea is basically if I say, for instance, in one of our examples we are always using for an airline company, right? You have employee and pilots, and for me those are 2 different business concepts. But when I'm looking at technically, they are both coming from our HR system, and they both will have some kind of employee number as an identifier. I don't care because they just say they live on both places because a pilot is an employee and an employee might be a pilot, yes or no. So they have the same identifier, but they're 2 different business concepts. I don't care about that one if I can make that distinction anyway. The other way around is kind of more ugly. We call them when we have duplicates, right? So we have coming in from 2 different angles with different identifiers, but it's still saying we have, let's say, 2 CRM systems, and both CRM systems are using different numbers to identify a customer. We still have one customer because the definition is the same, but we now have 2 different kind of identifiers coming in. And then we have to find out, does identifier 1, identifier 2, they are both saying they're a customer, so they can be in one hub, basically because we can integrate them. But are they actually also the same person? Yes or no? Because it might be or it might not be. So we need to do some work on that one. But that's the fun part on data modeling, especially in Data Vault. We can have some kind of we call them same as links or recursive relationship to say in this one entity table, this hub table, right, the way we store the identifiers, actually this identifier and this identifier and this identifier are all basically the same. So we refer to the same one. I hope, Eben, that kind of made your clear.
Yeah, I know the technical solution with the same as link tables.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you have to add the source system in the business key as well, right?
Well, you have something or a country number or the domain or whatever in the business key. And for my artifact, right, it doesn't matter if you can say I have what's the identifier, right, for a customer. I can have, well, it's either loyalty card number or CRM number. You could say there are 2 different ways to identify a customer. We can note it. That's not a problem.
But the definition is the important thing that will make you decide
Yeah.
whether it's the same
yeah.
concept or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't go crazy and don't try to find the master data management definition, because then you are going to work for another couple of years to find out all the definitions. The definition should be good enough. That's also what I've written down. It should be good enough to either get consensus that they are the same, or to say, yeah, they are. We are thinking about the same term, but by definition they are different. So we need to find that slight balance. I would say that a definition, how do you identify, well, in the example I gave, bad, right, or whatever. How fast can you come with the definition? I would say 10, 15 minutes, that should be good enough. Just a couple of sentences. But then everybody understands, oh, looking at this, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Johan, are you ready to ask the question, or should I give it to Petra?
No, it's fine. Actually, I can ask the question. I'm actually going back to my first question, or my first question
We
that I
didn't
asked
believe
about
you the first time.
about the business analyst, because and it's actually tying back onto the name of your book, From Stories to Actually Solutions, because
Mhm.
the actually problem is, like business analysts, and I don't think there is anyone in this like meeting, but they've got no idea actually, Angus, how to do this, which is fine. But the business people, how do you actually get them? Actually, look, actually, from actually what you've actually said in this presentation, definitely, as I understand that you have to have use the framework, and that will have a canvas which you can eventually show as an artifact. But as I find that business people, when you start even with a story, then they already say, whoa, what is this? This is not
Yeah.
business. So actually, how do you actually circumvent, or actually how do you approach that, that very high level to get the buy-in from the business people? That's
Yeah.
my
I'm not. There are a couple of things. One, I'm not going to say I need to. I need you to tell me the story of your organization or something like that, right?
yeah.
That's basically not what I'm doing. It's saying that I'm not going to talk about data models. The thing is, what I'm coming in, and again, I'm very lucky in this case, because I'm always new in the organization. The thing is, I'm always asking business people, I'm new here. Can you tell me something about your organization, your business function, your business domain, whatever? And I want to have a couple of people together. I never so far experienced true business people who didn't like to talk about what they're doing. And that's basically what we want to do. You want them to talk about what they are doing, and don't label it. Don't call it, oh, I'm going
Okay.
to capture your story, or I need to create a conceptual model, or don't. And that's why also when I'm starting off right on the going back to this one, this is why I'm starting basically just writing down those terms they're using without any. I'm not already going to have the categories on top of them. I'm just writing it down. That's really the first part. And this is where where I'm trying to get them involved. It's like, well, people say the story about the frog, right? Put them into water and just heat up the water every now and then, and they'll stay and they'll be bored afterwards. Completely rubbish story, but it's basically what you want to do. You want to get them in and want to start talking. And the cool thing about if you have more than one in, and I like to do workshop with 6, 7, 8 people from the business part, because then they're going to help you to say, oh yeah, but you forget about this one, you forget about this one. So we they are going to tell basically a story without knowing that they're telling a story. But it's the hard part. It really is the exciting stuff, how to get people involved. And that's, I'm giving some suggestions in my book. Basically, it's all about, hey, I'm new here, or I'm new for this part of the organization. I need to know more. Could you help me? Could you tell me? All that kind of fun stuff.
Okay,
And this,
thanks. Yep, okay.
yeah, and again, I don't care that much about terms, about terminology. I never did. I never will. But yeah, business analyst, information analyst. Yeah, it's
I-
what. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Actually, just a last sort of last minute lurch before the pub closes type of thing is, and this is also on your book. Actually, what if, because I'm actually talking about the business expecting something, they already expect a solution, but you don't have a solution yet. So actually, how do you approach that? You first want to get the story, and then give them a solution.
Yeah, and that's that, and again, and that is, I think this is the role of facilitator, which I obviously love to do, is basically trying to whatever what's happening, steer away. This is not the solution. Don't again that people are not allowed to bring a laptop to. I love to do in person workshops. They're not allowed to bring a laptop, so they're not allowed to do something. And if they're talking about, oh, this is how the solution should go, and said, yeah, but I'm not interested in what it should be going according to you, but I want to know about your organization, about what you're doing. So getting them back to tell me your information, tell me what you're doing. I don't want to hear solutions. And we thought about also doing a training how to become a facilitator and what to do, but we stopped with that one. I can guide people on this one a bit, but you either are able to facilitate workshops or it's very hard to get that one going. I think it's a special art.
Okay,
Right, thanks.
Petro, can I try to bring it to an end? Petro, any last questions from your side?
It's okay. I see we are out of time.
Can you ask a question and then we will maybe Remco can answer it on.
Well, yeah, so this was more on maybe the implementation when you don't generalize and you have your specific hubs, like what you had there. You can be a patient and you can be a doctor. Are you what was just coming up is if the attributes are the same, are you then generally not concerned about the duplication of having in both satellites the same information as long as you link them with the same as? Or is there any rule there?
Short answer, I'm completely not afraid of that one because we mean something different. It's the same like first name, right? We all have a first name. There are many people you having the same first name whatsoever. But then again, we're still repeating that information. The very simple reason why, because that's how we describe someone. So I'm not afraid about duplication of data. Yes, there might be circumstances where you technically might try to kind of generalize those, but I would never, ever, ever, ever show that to anyone outside the techie people. Not even from a where do we need to go from. I would definitely go away from that one because, by the way, there's a lot of stuff going on in this one. Sorry, my short answer will be longer anyway. But going abstract or general will also be, from a technical perspective, very, very hard because you always need to add more information to it, to role play and type it, and to filter it when you get the data out. So it's also getting you involved into a big risk. So don't go there, from my perspective. Don't care about duplication. Storage isn't the issue.
Fantastic. Remco, can I ask you, or would you like me to? Which would you like to suggest a person who wins the book, or?
I first, because we are looking for this one for a long time. Is there anybody, and you raise your hand, can see what the difference is between the back and